The rise and fall of Jezebel. She was a queen who changed the course of a nation. A woman whose name echoes through history as the embodiment of evil. But what if there's more to her story? From her privileged birth to her tragic and gruesome demise, Jezebel's life is a tale of ambition, betrayal, and prophecy, fulfilled in the most chilling way. Stay with us, because the twist at the end will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. Jezebel was born into privilege in the thriving port city of Sidon, one of the wealthiest in the ancient world. Her father, Ethbaal, was no ordinary king. He was a high priest of Baal, a god worshipped for his control over storms, fertility, and prosperity. But Ethbaal's ascent to power wasn't peaceful. It was drenched in blood. He murdered his predecessor and seized the throne, teaching young Jezebel that survival meant domination. As a child, Jezebel learned the sacred rites of Baal. She watched sacrifices, both animal and human, performed to secure favor from the gods. Her education wasn't just spiritual, it was political. She saw how religion could control people and how power could crush dissent. Even as a girl, Jezebel understood that power was the ultimate goal, and she would stop at nothing to claim it for herself. As Jezebel grew, so did her ambitions. By her teenage years, she was no longer just the daughter of a king, she was a political asset. Israel, a divided and vulnerable kingdom, needed an ally, and Sidon saw an opportunity. A marriage between Jezebel and King Ahab would strengthen both nations. But for Jezebel, this was more than a marriage, it was a mission. When Jezebel arrived in Israel, she didn't come empty-handed. Alongside treasures of gold and purple dyes, she brought the gods of her homeland. She came not as a submissive bride, but as a woman determined to reshape a nation. Israel's traditions didn't intimidate her. In fact, Jezebel saw them as obstacles to overcome. And so the seeds of cultural and spiritual conflict were planted. As queen, Jezebel's influence over Ahab was undeniable. Under her direction, Israel began to change. Temples to Baal were constructed, altars rose across the land, hundreds of prophets were commissioned to spread her faith. For Jezebel, this wasn't just religion, it was control, and she wouldn't tolerate opposition. But one man dared to challenge her. Elijah, the prophet of Yahweh, stood as a voice against Jezebel's dominion. Their conflict came to a head on Mount Carmel, where Elijah confronted 450 prophets of Baal in a contest to prove whose God was real. When Yahweh's fire consumed Elijah's altar, Jezebel's prophets were humiliated and slaughtered. Enraged, she vowed to kill Elijah, forcing him to flee into the wilderness. Her pursuit of him showed her unyielding resolve, but it also deepened the divide in her kingdom. The conflict between Jezebel and Elijah had far-reaching consequences for the kingdom. Perhaps Jezebel's most infamous act came in the case of Naboth, a humble vineyard owner. When Ahab coveted the land and Naboth refused to sell, Jezebel took matters into her own hands. She forged letters accusing Naboth of blasphemy and treason. Her plan was flawless and deadly. Naboth was stoned to death and his land was seized. It wasn't just a crime, it was a statement. No one, not even the innocent, could stand in Jezebel's way. But this act brought judgment. Elijah declared that Jezebel's blood would stain the earth and dogs would consume her flesh. The prophecy was set in motion. Years later, the prophecy began to unfold. Jehu, a military commander anointed to end Ahab's dynasty, marched on Jezreel. Jezebel, now older but no less defiant, refused to cower. Even in her final moments, Jezebel exuded confidence. She painted her eyes, adorned herself in royal finery, and faced Jehu with sharp words. "Have you come in peace, Zimri, you murderer of your master?" But Jezebel's pride couldn't save her. At Jehu's command, her own servants turned against her, casting her from the palace window. Her body hit the ground, and within moments, dogs devoured her remains, leaving only her skull, hands, and feet. But here's the twist. Was Jezebel truly the villain history remembers her as? Or was she a woman ahead of her time, unafraid to wield power in a world ruled by men? Her ambition shattered norms, but at what cost? Let us know in the comments, was Jezebel the ultimate villain, or was she a misunderstood queen who dared to defy tradition? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that uncover the truth behind history's most infamous figures.